Hey everybody, this is graphic designer Roberto Blake. In today's YouTube video, I'm going to be talking to you about what I feel is the biggest mistake that graphic designers today make. In my opinion, the biggest mistake that today's graphic designers are making, and have been making for quite some time, is assuming that they are artists, or that they need to be artists. Graphic design is very different than traditional art or even digital art, and I actually talk about this in my video Art versus Design. So if you're interested, you should check that out, but I'm going to recap a little bit of that right now. Graphic design is used in conjunction with advertising and marketing because it's supposed to be about communication and presenting messages and establishing an identity, a tonality, and just kind of communicating what you would like people to do, or a thought that you want them to have, or what they should be interested, or tie an association between a product, a service, a brand, etc. But with art, you're just actually expressing what you think or what you feel, and art can actually be abstract and can be interpreted. Graphic design is supposed to send a clear message, whereas again, art is about what the artist wants, what they want to try and say, or how the viewer is going to interpret it. It's a different relationship completely. Many graphic designers or people who are starting to be graphic designers think that they need to have a traditional illustration and arts background, and while it's definitely helpful and can make you a better graphic designer, it's not entirely necessary. Artists are concerned about how things look and about what they feel like, whereas designers, while certainly thinking about those things, have to be a lot more concerned with whether this functions appropriately in terms of what they're trying to do. There's a phrase that we use in graphic design, or at least if you go to a graphic design school, you'll hear this from your professors over and over again, and the phrase is form follows function, meaning that how something looks is a secondary consideration compared to how it works. Now, I don't strictly adhere to that policy because I believe that just because of the way that human nature has progressed in the digital age, that form often is function. The way something does present and look is part of how it works or why it works. But the idea is supposed to be that while something looking a certain way or looking the right way or looking good overall, or what you interpret as good, is definitely important, it's more important that the overall piece accomplish the mission. It goes back to the idea of minimalism and less is more. You might actually be able to accomplish what you need to by simplifying rather than making something super elaborate and detailed because you think it looks interesting or looks cool or looks better this way. It may not function appropriately. It might actually overwhelm someone, or it might turn them off, or it might take away from the message and what it's supposed to do and make them focus on the visual and the art. Whereas they're not supposed to be focusing on that so much as the call to action or the product. So sometimes the art or visual considerations can dilute the message or make something less effective. And this is what's meant by form follows function. And you'll find a lot of this playing out in the design aesthetic of everything that Apple does. This is why they do things very minimalistically, and borrows concepts from minimalist artwork and the communist art form that you would read about people like Pete Mondrian and so on, and learn about Gestalt uniforming principles in an entry-level graphic design course that you'd be taking. So that's just something to consider. Ultimately, there are many graphic designers who are artists. I actually happen to be one of them myself, but I consider myself at this point in my life more of a designer than I am an artist. If you're an artist and you're looking for a career field to get into, if you aren't interested in things like doing commercial work and having to take direction from somebody else and having to communicate someone else's needs, focus around product-centric things, do things for broad audiences, do things that are very minimalistic and very stylized. If you want to do true artwork, I don't recommend becoming a graphic designer just because you're an artist, because you'll find a lot of frustration. You won't really have the creative freedom that you might be looking for. So I recommend that you go a different route. I recommend that you maybe go toward focusing specifically on illustration or commercial illustration and go into something like fashion, or even go into animation so that you can go into game concept artwork, storyboarding, and development, because you'll have a lot more latitude, freedom, and control going into that industry versus design. Design is more for going into marketing and advertising and selling ideas than it is creating art. A lot of what you do as a graphic designer has nothing to do with art or being artistic. You have to be creative, but it's more creativity based around the idea of problem solving and communication than it is visual imagery. Visual imagery is just kind of a means to an end where graphic design is concerned. Well, I hope that video cleared a few things up for you guys. Like I said, this is just my opinion on why I think the biggest mistake graphic designers make today is, but I'd love some other opinions on that topic. If you're a graphic designer and you think that there's another big mistake that young designers are making today, or that people even in the industry who are experienced are making today, feel free to leave that in the comment section below so that we can talk about it. Maybe I'll even follow up with you about that for another video topic that I can do. Anyway, like this video if you like it, don't forget to subscribe, check out the other videos in my YouTube channel, and as always, thanks for watching.